Okay, so enough talking. Let's go ahead and jump in. This is the page we're going to build out. And if I move over here, you can see I've got VS Code open over on the left. And then I'm going to use Astro, which is a static site generator. It's in beta, but looking for a launch here, I think in June. So it's getting close. And I've just built out a couple of sites, one for a client, one kind of a personal site, and one other site using it recently. So I still have a lot to learn with it, but I figured I'd jump into that. And then I was also going to use Tailwind, which I don't know that I've used on a stream before, but I figured that might help speed stuff up maybe a little bit, so we'll see. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me read the docs here because what I want to do is install it. And let's see, I actually want to use the manual setup, I think, because I already have a folder up and running, and if I use the actual like pre-built thing, it'll just overwrite all this, and I don't want that. Empty directory. Here we are, so let's go ahead and come in here. I'm just going to open up a local terminal, if it will. All right, and then let's see, I'm going to use pnpm as well. So we'll do pnpm init-y just to answer yes to all that. And then I'll install Astro. So pnpm is like an alternative to npm, and I've done a video on it before, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out in the channel. Somebody can drop that in the chat if you really want to, but pnpm install Astro. And we'll get this thing started. Looks like I've got an update too if I want it. Let's see, can I close down that? Okay, here we go. Static asset. So basically the way this works, let's see, what else does it give me? Nothing. Okay. Non-modules, package. Okay. So I've got to kind of build out all this myself. Pages, SRC. Okay, so I got to build up all the folder structure. I'd forgotten that. Because usually when you use the automatic generator or whatever, it does a lot of this stuff for you. But all right, so inside here we'll do an index.astro page. This is basically the starting point for everything. This is like your home page, and then you can have additional pages inside this. And we'll do a pages folder and maybe a components folder, and then let's do a styles. Although we won't need too much. And I think for now that should be good. I need Astro config, that's right. All right, Astro. Oh, I wasn't selected on the window. Astro config.mjs. Let's see, where's my... Just grab this right here. The starting point. Okay, React file, party town. Let's look inside here. All right, let's look at Tailwind. Got Tailwind in here somewhere. Hey, we can add Party Town too. Although it's not like we're going to need a lot of that because we're not going to be writing a ton of JavaScript. So maybe let's just do Tailwind. So this new add command is, I think it's in beta. Well, I mean the whole thing's in beta, but let's see. I don't need Astro because I already got that. Or no, I do, because that's the command. So this add command will actually add everything to our config that we need, I think, if I remember correctly. And they'll set up all this stuff. And then, yeah, so you just add it in here. And it actually asks you, hey, you want to just add it right here? And that would be a yes. All right, and then let's pnpm. Oops. Let me double check that this added stuff in. No, it did not. Okay. So now I got to type all that myself because I didn't pay attention. We'll add this in here. Okay, cool. So we've got Tailwind set up that way. I think I also, let's see. I also need to actually install a Tailwind config file. Tailwind. Okay. Post CSS config. Let's see. So I also need post CSS. pnpm post CSS. So a lot of the setup will take a little bit of time. If you're watching this later, you can skip around. I'll try to remember to add a timestamp if you want to skip all this stuff. But I mean, if you want to know how to do this, then you are welcome to watch this too. Post CSS.config.cjs. here we go. Let's paste this stuff in here. All right, and I mean, we might as well add auto prefixer too. So let's do that. So we'll auto prefix this stuff, and then let's come in here, pm. Let's see, I guess we need it just for the dev auto prefixer. All right. I think that's good to go. Let's see, do I need anything else? Beat plugins. I don't have anything too much going on here. Okay. So let's call that good. Let me come back over here to Tailwind, because I know I need those Tailwind commands. And let's do a style sheet here. We'll just call this styles.css. That's fine. Here we go. So I need a Tailwind config file. Let's get all these things in a folder. I can't see anything that's going on. So we'll call this images or something like that. And then, oh, you know what? Let's separate out the actual images from everything else. So let's see. That's a WebP. All those are SVGs, I think. Okay. So let's drag these up to the images. And then I need a public folder. And the way that Astro works is your public folder is like what would be live on your server, just at the root. So we're going to put all those images in there. And then there's actually a cool extension called Astro Icon, which I've done a video on before. And I think all these SVGs need to be in an icons folder. If I remember right, we'll go look at that. But basically, it will transform these SVGs for you, and this needs to be in the SRC. All right, so we've got the structure here is public, is anything live on the server. Then we've got an SRC folder, which is where all of our build stuff is going to happen. We're going to have components. All my icons are in here. We've got our pages, which is where we'll have any routing or anything, which I guess we don't really have any routing. So I guess we didn't need that. And then styles itself. Astro config is basically tells Astro how to build stuff. And then we've got obviously package files and our post CSS file. So I think that's everything except for a Tailwind. Tailwind.config. I guess just JS here. Actually, that might need to be a CJS. Let's come back over here. Let's look at Tailwind again. Tailwind. Hey everyone. Welcome for those of you who've just joined. I know we've got at least one person from New York. That's all I know so far. So if you're watching from somewhere else, let me know. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. Let's see. You gonna take me to this? No. Unless I'm already here. Am I already here? Oops. Oops again. Tailwind. Am I already here? I am. I thought there was more direction they gave you. Post CSS. Tailwind. Nope. That's all we got. Okay. Well, I know at least we're going to need inside our SEC folder here, we're going to need .astro files as well, because we'll have some of those, and that's probably all we'll need. Let's go ahead and put this inside our styles sheet, and let's make sure. I think we're good. So let's come in here to this Astro file, and oh, you know what? So I don't have to type all this manually out. Let's do index.html page so I can get the emit extension here, and then I'll just kill this, don't save that, and drop this in here. So what we're going to do is this will be our home page, and typically what you would do in Astro is basically the whole idea is you're building stuff with components, and I'm not going to use any frameworks or anything. I'm just going to write this in kind of Astro files, which is more or less like advanced HTML. And London, nice. My brother lives in London. I'm not sure exactly where, but I know it's a big city. Let's see, index.astro page is where a lot of our kind of starting point will be, but I want a layouts folder as well, which you don't have to name it this, but this is what they recommend in the docs. We'll do a base layout.astro, And what we can do is actually add all this in here, and then let's call this Google I/O clone or something like that. And we can further break out just the head if we want to as well. But let's first of all go ahead and link. Actually, we don't link this. Up top in Astro files, you have front matter, so very much like, you know, a lot of static site generator frameworks. And then to get style sheets in here, you now do import and then a relative path. So let's see, where am I at? I am in the layouts. So let's go to styles, oops, styles, and then to my styles.css. All right, so if I did all that correctly, I should be able to come in here. Let's see, did they add my commands I need? No, they did not. So maybe we should have just used the thing to build all this out so I didn't have to do all that. I thought we were saving so much time. Installation. Where you at? Tell me. Let's come back to the manual setup. And so you're saying I had to pay attention to this. Let's see. This does need to be here. Why is it yelling at me? Oh, I have these in here. Let's get rid of this. Okay. I think we're good. Now I should be able to come in here and say pm run dev or start, either one. Should spin up a local server. And then get this, we'll get this up over here. But basically what we're going to do is pass these components around, and this base layout here, this should all import. Let me open this up. And it hates us. Okay. Well, that's because I don't think I have anything going on. Index.astro in my SRC. What am I doing wrong? Should we just restart this whole thing with the actual templater so that we can actually start building this page out? that is an option. Let me just read through this carefully, make sure I didn't miss anything. Did that first page, index.astro, done. Dashes, I mean, you don't have to have those. First static asset, we already have a public folder. Astro config, I already did that. Next steps. Congrats. Learn how to start it. Run the CLI. All right, well, we just skip past all that. What am I missing? Why is this path not found? All right, should we abandon ship? Let's do this. I don't want to waste any more time setting this up. And usually I just have used the CLI. I've used this. I've done it manually once before, and it wasn't any trouble, but I'm sure I'm just missing something small. Let's go ahead and just CD out of this. And let's restart this, and then we'll just drag our assets over. Because I'm not seeing what I'm doing wrong, and I don't want to waste any of your time since we're supposed to actually build out a site today and not just configure Astro. All right, so let's do this. Where would you like it? Let's do it at, so I could have just done it. It used to erase whatever folder you were in, but they must have allowed you to now do it differently. So let's just do it in a folder called Google. Let's do just the basics, completely empty. Wow. Let's just do just the basics since we already tried completely empty and failed miserably. I've had a lot going on recently with just some side projects and stuff. Yes, please. And so I don't know that I'm going to have anything ready on Tuesday. I had grand plans of getting together a full terminal video showing kind of how I set up my terminal. I also have a video coming out on run add Astro. Yes, please. Let's... Oh, well, I don't need any of that. Tailwind. Oh, cool. So they've added a lot of stuff. That's nice. If you skip this. No, don't skip anything. Do it all. All right, cd Google and pnpm dev. Let's see if anything worked. Hey, nice. Okay, so we should have done that to start with. So let me kill this. Let's see, let's go ahead and close down this, or open a new window. Actually, let's just do this. Let me come over here. All right, I'm gonna throw up this thumbnail and just navigate to stuff. But yeah, so I've got one coming out on my terminal, and then I've got another one coming out soon on like a responsive landing page, just how to design for responsive landing pages. So I hope that'll be a help as well. All right, I'm just about set up over here. Sorry for all that. I'm not sure exactly what I did wrong, but at least some of you are still sticking around, which is good. I'd love to know what you're working on, though. Those of you who are watching, are you professional developers? Are you just learning? It seems like a lot of people are learning. I'm not a professional developer. I do this on the side for kicks. So I do build out sites occasionally for people, but it's certainly not a full-time job or anything. All right, I'm trying to get everything set up over here, and then we will kind of restart. So let me jump over here. Let's see, public. I just want to make sure I get everything set up on my screen first for you. All right, I think we are just about set to go. Let me switch back at least. All right, so I've got, let's see, this is the Google over here, and Google I/O. This is the one we set up poorly. So let's go ahead and drag this, let's see, into our public folder. And then I also had icons. Yeah, there we go. And that should be in our SRC folder. And then I did have some other pages, but I don't know if I need those because they may have set all that up for me. Tailwind config. How about that? That was all set up. All right, so everything was working. And then let me come back in here. And let's do pnpm run dev and get this thing up and going. All right, so what were we doing on this stream? We were supposed to be doing the Google I/O page. Let's pull it up over here, Google I/O. And so that we've got it in a mobile view here. Oh, weird. They got some spacing issues. Well, let's fix that. Only time we're going to be able to do fix Google stuff. Hey, nice, Matt. Hey, well, I'm sure you're going to be. All right, getting started. We got that, got this. All right, let's go ahead and start writing stuff so that you can actually see something else that's going to happen. We'll get around to adding that icon script we need in a second too. So pages, did I just not put it in my pages folder? Is that really what happened? All right, I think so. So you can see here what they've done is they pulled in a layout, which is what I was trying to show you earlier. And they pulled it in under the components. This is your layout here. And if I come in here, you're going to see that this is basically an HTML doc. And they've got something called a slot in here, which if you're familiar with other frameworks, you can see that they're actually using TypeScript here too. Well, they're kind of their own version of it, and pulling all that in. So you're passing in a title from this index page, and you do that by when you call it. So it's like any other framework mostly, where you've got a element or like a tag, and then you just pass it in as an attribute here. So this welcome to Astro is now right here. So it says welcome to Astro up top here. So that's what you're passing in. And then all this stuff here is basically taking the spot of the slot component right here. And then you can write inline styles like this. We're not going to do that since we are, since we're doing stuff with Tailwind. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, so I got all that set up. Let's come back in here then, and let's actually strip out all of this stuff. And let's finally get to doing what we were supposed to be doing in the first place. Let me strip this right here. Style sheet, we don't need any of this. Is there any? There's no styles at all. So we do actually need to add, let's do a styles folder. And inside here, we will do styles.css. And let's redo everything we did before here. Drag that in. And then let's just, in the top of our layout here, let's import that. So import the styles.css. Is that right? Could be right. Nope. Definitely wrong. Failed to load. It should be right. Let me pull it in over here. Styles. Oh, Chris. What is happening with you? Let's do styles index. All right, Tailwind. Whoa, there we go. Did they add everything I needed? Or we're back to square one? See, I do need a post CSS, and they did not add that so far as I can tell. So post css.config.cjs, maybe that's what's going on. We'll add Tailwind. Let me make sure I've actually got post CSS. I don't. So let's also do that. So pnpm I d post CSS. All right, pnpm run dev. Maybe in the future I will set this stuff up ahead of time so we can actually do something in these streams. That did not help anything. All right, let's come back over here. Well, the nice thing is this might be the only time anybody ever sees this, because I may not post this because this is not exactly enjoyable content. Let's come back over here, styles. That is totally what I did. Index.css. Let me check this. Tailwind, we got that. Everything's over there. I got a chunk problem. I'm not sure what that is. For server-side rendering, I mean, I'm not doing that, but nothing's in this config that's telling me I have to do that either. So let's kill this. And just for laughs, let's go ahead and delete this. And let's reinstall everything. pnpm I pnpm run dev. And make sure I've got nothing weird in this package.json file. Oops, that's not my package.json file. This one is. All right, there it goes. So maybe we didn't do anything wrong. Just the universe is against us. All right. Okay, so let's just talk through this one more time. So what we've got is a layout, and that layout is coming from our components, and it has a slot component. It's got nothing except for this title right now, and then we're going to add all of our content inside this index.astro page with other components. So that's what we're going to do, and let's just, to make sure it's working, let's first of all, where are we at? Right here. Let's just add an h1 here. It says hi or something like that. Okay, and let's do a Tailwind class, and we'll do like text to XL. Hey, okay, so something is working. Life is good again. Tailwind setup is a pain. Yeah, it shouldn't be. I mean, we really just had to add one file. I don't know. Something to do with the installation process didn't like us. So let's go ahead and first of all config these colors. I don't know, is there a dark mode? There is a dark mode. With how long that took us to set up, I'm not going to worry about a dark mode. We're going to be lucky if we get anything done today. So let's go ahead and grab these colors, and I haven't looked at any of these. Let's wait a second. Are they actually using Tailwind? Well, that's funny. I didn't realize that. Well, let's try to ignore all that. Don't tell me anything. I don't want to see it. So we'll grab this over here and let's open our Tailwind config file. And we need to extend. How does that work again? Let's come back over here and look at our colors. Here we go. So let's extend these, and we'll call this Google Blue. And that needs to be in quotation marks here. And then let's add this here. Although, you know what we should do? Let's just add this one at a time. There is a color picker on Mac called Digital Color Meter. And basically, let's pull this over here. It's not going to let me pull it. But basically, you can just hover over anything and hit Command-Shift-C and copy the hex value. So that comes default. So that should help us out. Maybe go a little bit faster. Let's get several of these. We'll do a green and a yellow and a red. And let's do a black. I'm guessing that's black. We've got a gray, it looks like. And then mostly the rest of that is just the same gray. We'll make it the same gray. All right, so let's now come in here. I'm going to copy these over. So that's our green. I thought I was going to copy it over. I got to select Digital Color Meter again. And now, there we go. Okay, cool. Select this over here again. We got the red. And select this again. We got the yellow. Look at us going fast like we always had been. There's black. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you missed all that so that you didn't have to watch all that painful thing, but we are officially doing something now. Got this gray in here. Okay. So we should be good on the colors. This typeface, I'm guessing, is something custom. But we could just use like Roboto or something, I would think. Let's see. What's the typeface? Google Sans. Yeah, that doesn't sound like something I'm allowed to use. So let's go to fonts.google.com and grab something else from them. Let's do, hey, Roboto right here. Wait a second. Roboto Flex. What's that? Oh, it's a variable font. Oh, that's cool. Let's use that. Whoa, there's all kinds of stuff. Is this new? I don't think I've ever seen this before. Okay, let's grab, I don't know what we need. We're going to kind of guesstimate a lot of this stuff because the point is the layout and not all the rest of this. Let's open the sidebar. Get rid of those. All right, so let's just do this in the CSS up top. So where's my CSS file? So we'll do this on top of everything. And then in the Tailwind config, I do need to change the font family. So I'll come over here, font family. And let's extend it, I think. It's just called font family. All right, and by extending this, you are not overwriting all the defaults. You're just adding to them, basically. And we're going to do Google. Actually, why don't we do... Let's just overwrite the sans. Looks like I need to put them inside here. Nope, not even close. Let's see. I just need an array. All right, there we go. Maybe. Ish. Oh, so these each have to be an array. And I don't need font family. One more here. Get rid of that. Did we do something right? There's the chance. Let's come back over here. Let's see if we can use any of this stuff. Let's put our H1 back in here, and we're going to give it a class of text, or let's see, font sans, and then let's do text for Excel and text Google Blue. Hello there. We were doing so well. Google Blue. Well, I extended this with extend. I never gave this a colors All right, I think that's our object. So colors. Something happened? Nope. Colors. Let's double check how to do that. Colors. Okay. Feeling pretty confident that's what I did. Maybe I need to restart this. Colors, theme, extend, colors. That is precisely what I did. Hey, there we go. Okay, so we got something going. Let's go ahead and just think through the site now. So Tailwind is mobile first, so we need to build it with that in mind. This is doing funky stuff because it's this canvas. We're going to just drop that in as an image. Again, for a lot of these sizes, let's say, I guess we can just generally look at the sizes in here. So looks like 32. We've got a 16, 16, so we're doubling it, at least for the header, versus that. Is this an in-between 24-ish? Yeah, 24. So 24, 16, and 32. So a 8-point grid so far. Also 32, but, or wait, that was 28? 28 bold, so kind of in between. So it looks like we've got maybe 4 different font sizes. We've got one button. So let's go ahead and build out just a basic nav. I'm not going to build out this side thing. I probably would have if it didn't take us 35 minutes to get the thing set up. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a component in here. And in Astro, you just do stuff like nav.astro. And just to show you kind of what this would do, if I had a nav bar in here that said like, I don't know, we could have an H1 here that says hi. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that, but I can come in here. Now there's actually auto import, which is cool. What is that called? Nav. And if you just hit enter, it'll find it and add it automatically, which is pretty cool. And then what you do is to add it in here, you just do it like that, like a tag. And then if I come over here, there it is, right there. So there's our nav. It's being pulled in, and anything that's in the nav comes in here. You can pass stuff, props to it, just like you do right here. And hey, welcome, Levon. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got the nav bar, and now I think is going to be the time where we're going to have to pull in that other extension I wanted called Astro Icon, which should not be hard, but that's what I said about the whole setup. So let's see, yarn add. Let's do pm add Astro Icon. And then I need to add this SSR thing and the Astro config. Nope, and the whole Vite thing. And I think that's all I got to do. So then what we're going to do is basically add in this custom little icon thing. So I'll just import this. See, local icons right here. And you basically just pass it your file name, and it will automatically set all that up for you. So it'll just import the SVG, minify it, all that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. So let's come back over here. Assuming we did all that correctly, we can go pm run dev, come back up here, and in the top of this navbar component is where I'm going to add that icon script or tag. And then I should be able to come in here and say icon and then name, and I'll just pass the name of one of our icons. And I think, let's see, was it the icons? Did I do that right? Yeah, icons. So I should be able to come in here. Icon has no corresponding closing tag. Well, it's self-closing, so joke's on you. Logo.svg, so I just have to type logo. And if I did that right, there it is. All right, cool. So it's actually, if you inspect this, dropped in the SVG and minified it and everything else, which is cool. So that's all you got to do. And you can pass in anything you want here. So we can do props. So for instance, I could have a class here that says like width 6 or something like that. And it makes it real tiny. Maybe width 20. And on some of these things, again, we're going to kind of be guessing. Looks like they've got 154 for the width. So I have no idea what that would be in Tailwind. Let's figure it out. So let's do width like 96 or something. Is that going to be way too big? Yep. Let's do 72. Let's do 60. Let's look it up in Tailwind. So we'll do width. Hey, welcome from LA. Even earlier for you than it is for me. All right. I got a width. I don't want, let's see, 150-ish. So let's do 36. totally overshot that. All right, there we go. Now this does need to be, let's see, inside. Let's wrap this inside a link. And we'll point this back home. And let's go ahead and give this an ARIA label. We'll call this go home or something like that. All right, so this should now be a link tag. And like I said, we can pass in any props we want to this icon component, and it will just do that for us. The other thing we need is, let's see, we're going to have this little thing. So we can do the same kind of thing, except it will be inside a button. And ARIA label, we'll call this open menu. And let's see, I think on desktop, if I come back over here, yeah, so on desktop, does it ever go out? Oh, it does, okay. So, and those things are separate. What do they do over here? They just disappear. They probably go into the nav bar. So this is probably all one thing right here. All right, let's just get that set up for now on mobile, and we'll worry about all that if we have time, which, judging by the speed of life this morning, I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe you're more optimistic than I am. Let's see, close. What would this even be? Let's come in here so we can actually see. Google, public, nope, SRC, icons. Oh man. Can I see any of these things? Bookmark, calendar, medium, logo, did I grab it? It ain't YouTube. That's a close. So I might need to grab it. All right, so let's do that. So, oops. Let's just copy this whole element. And let's come in here and we'll just copy .svg. I guess we can call this hamburger .svg. I'll paste it in there. All right, and hamburger. There we go. Cool. Let's call this like maybe 6-ish, something like that. All right, cool. Now what we technically would need here is we're gonna have this button component. I think this is actually all gonna be wrapped inside of a div together. So let's do that, and then the rest of these nav items would be inside of a div, or maybe a UL. So let's just do that for now and comment it out if we ever feel like getting back to that. But basically, you can position this whole div differently depending if it's on mobile or desktop. And then these would be all the items inside here, the nav items. But like I said, I don't think we're going to get to that. So let's come in here and let's add a class of flex. And I've got this Tailwind extension called Tailwind CSS something. Tailwind. Basically, I would not write Tailwind without this IntelliSense, because it tells you everything, and you can even hover over stuff afterwards, and it tells you the property. I've done a video on Tailwind, about an hour long or so, explaining how to kind of get started. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. Let's do items center, and then we should be good there. I do want some padding though, so at least right now let's do padding X, like 4. I don't think there was much padding. Yeah, okay, that looks good. And they maybe had a little bit up top too. So PY2, padding up and down of 2. All right, look at us, we're doing things. Let's see, this also probably needs to have, let's do them on both of these. So class, we'll do a grid, and a place items center. So everything's right in the middle of the button and of the link. Okay, we did a thing, it happened. Bottom line, I don't know how big that is, but we'll also add that. So border bottom, I guess 2, and we'll do border Google. Hey, there we go. And all your stuff gets pulled in with IntelliSense stuff too, which is cool. Okay, I mean, can you tell a difference? I can't. All right, I can now, but let's ignore it. So we've got these cards, and this is where this component structure in Astro will help us out. So let's, again, just focus on mobile. So we've got card here, card here. I think this isn't, yeah, that's just an image. So we've got optional headers, text, we've got buttons we can pass in. So let's just do this. Let's create a card component, and these cards are different. So we'll do maybe like a hero header or card or something like that. Or you know what, let's pass in some options. So I'm going to come in here, oops, and let's add a card.astro component. And then what we're going to do is take in some options up top here. So what you can do is pull them in like this. So let's say we'll have a type that gets pulled in. We'll have classes that get pulled in. And I think maybe for now that's it. Astro.props. All right, so then what we're going to do is have this card right in here. And since these are kind of their own sections, let's see, what's the best way to do this? Maybe let's also pass in a header. And then, so what I'm wanting to do is basically set one component up for all this, but we're going to have to do a good bit of customization when we pass in stuff. Because basically a lot of the content is going to be generated by a slot component. So we'll just add it directly in the index page. Because I think if we try to do too much, this is going to be so customized that it won't really be a help anywhere. So let's do this. Let's pass in an ID for the section, which will be the same as the header, whatever we end up using. We will do a type because some of them need hover and some of them don't. And then we'll need basic classes to be able to distinguish those. And in fact, we can just do that with the classes. So let's try that for now and see if this works. So we've got a section in here. And we're going to have this say aria labeled by, labeled by. And we'll pass this to the ID that gets passed in. So in Astro, you just pass it in brackets like this, ID, not inside quotation marks or anything like that. And then there's this thing called a class list, which is basically an object, an array. See, it's an object with an array inside of it. And you can spread in anything you want. So like, for instance, our classes that were passed in up top, we can pass in our own string or a map or anything like that. See, this music is kind of loud. All right. So for instance, we would have like, I think all of these have like a rounded medium or something like that. And then inside here is where we'd have our slot component. You don't have to use slots, and we'll have some that don't, but in Astro, I think that's probably the easiest way to set this up. All right, so we've got that set up, slot component. Now what we can do is basically import this into our index page. So let's just copy this down and grab a card. And then below here, let's just grab, let's see, everything here I think is going to live in a main tag. And again, you could add this as part of your layout, which probably this nav I would normally do in layout, but we've already done what we've done. It is over. We'll do padding of 4 everywhere. And let's see what else we need. Probably if we make this a grid parent, then we can separate these sections out by what, 96? So let's do that. So let's make this a grid, and then we'll do a gap of, let's see, what is 96? 48 is 132? Nope. 28? Nope. 24? Hey. All right, so we'll do a gap of 24 between all the children, which means inside here I'm going to have maybe like a header area. Well, these are all sections, so let's just do a div here, and we'll do a grid and gap 4. So one room between those, which is the same we've got on the outside. That doesn't look nearly like, it looks more like maybe 8 pixels, something like that. All right, and so then inside here is where we're going to have those cards. So each of them are going to be their own section. So let's do card. And then I've done a lot of self-closing tags so far in Astro, which is just if you're going to pass in props like this. But if you want a slot component, like we did with this layout thing right here, you actually have an opening and a closing tag, just like in HTML. And then I can pass in some stuff. So first of all, we're going to have, I'm guessing this is an H1. H1. So we'll pass that in here, and let's give this an ID of title or something. All right, and then that's the prop we can pass into the card. So we've got a header, no, ID I think is what it was, and we can just pass this in directly like that. And now if I come back over here, there we go. So I've got a section right here, maybe, down here. See if I can pull this up so you can see it. Section already labeled by title. So see how we passed that in, and that's what Astro has dumped in here now. And then this is the actual slot right inside here. All right, so the other thing is we're going to pass in some classes. And all these are going to have similar stuff, but for now, let's just go ahead and pass in a background Google Blue. And let's see, they all have similar padding everywhere? Not really. So maybe let's pass that in too, and we can just copy the cards down. So we'll do a padding 8. That looks about like 2 rem maybe. And then I also, this is going to be, let's see, probably a grid. And then we'll do just, or let's see, items. Let's leave that for now. Okay, so there we go. We got something. It does need a border. So that's another thing we could pass in, I suppose, as an argument. Does it need a border or not? But I think it's easy enough here. Let's pass it in just for the fun of it. All right, so we can say border. So we've passed in now 2 strings, and now let's make this a Boolean. And we'll say by default, this is equal to false. So if we don't pass in anything, it won't do anything. However, let's go ahead and do this just right inside here. Actually, let's do this. Let's put this inside backticks, and then we'll add this and say border. If it's true, then we will add, so logical and here, we'll add border 2 all around. So by default, it should not have a border. If I were to change this to true, no, I need to add a color too. So border Google black. Hey. Change this back to false. By default, it shouldn't have anything, and then I can pass that in. So now we've got 2 strings and then a Boolean here, so we'll say border equals true. Actually, and I think these Booleans, you're supposed to pass in more like that. Nope. Does it hate me? It's red. What is Astro? It's a static site generator. It's in beta, but I have been taken with it, so I've really enjoyed it. And basically, you can build out little components. You can actually include like Vue or anything, Svelte, React components as well, and they work just like you'd expect. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting. I've really enjoyed it. All right, so we got this H1 in here, and I also need this text size to be a little different. So let's do text. Why is my extension not working? 2XL. Oh, it's because I'm in an ID. All right. Maybe that's right. So text. Is it going to work for me now? Text. Nope, still not going to work. 2XL. A little bit bigger. So let's do 3XL. And we'll call that good. Looks like it's a little thinner. So, here we go. What's my weight? I don't remember how to do that in Tailwind, so let's look that up. Come over here, hit Command K. And let's see. What am I looking for? Weight, font weight. Normal. Medium. Let's see, what are we at right now? So let's do font. Font normal. And see what that does. Nothing. So we must have been at normal. So let's do thin. Hey, okay, so stuff's working. Light. Let's try that. We're going to call that good. I mean, it doesn't look good. Regular. Normal. Well, I think it's because I'm using a different font, which I kind of forgot about, so we're going to call that good. It looks like it does wrap. So does it always wrap there? No. So, I think we're good. Let's set this to the same. So 401 and 401 so that we're actually getting something kind of true. 401. All right, cool. So now we've got other stuff to add. So let's copy this stuff in. So below here, we've got a paragraph. We'll just add that in. Pulls in right there. Cool. And then we've got a button. So even though we're in a slot here, what we're actually going to do is create another component. And let's just hit Command-Shift-S. And we'll call this button.astro. And now what we can do is make this a button. So we'll do button here. And then let's take in several things. So in this component, what do we want to take in? Well, let's see, do we have any other buttons that we need to do? Nope. So we don't really need this as a component, but it's already done. So let's go ahead and add the classes that we know we're going to need. So we'll need a background of Google Black. And then we will need a probably padding 3. Let's do padding X3 and padding Y2. We'll do rounded of maybe medium. And then for the text color, I don't have a Google white, but it should just be white. So the only thing we're taking in here would be let's see, the content. And I guess this doesn't need to be a button, right? It's probably a link. So we'll do href, and we'll point this to the href we pass in, and this will be the text or button text. Button text, like that. All right, so let's add button text up here and href up here. And by default, we'll set this to point nowhere. And we'll set this button text just to read out our see the program. I don't think we're going to need this anywhere else, so for now, let's just call that good. And then up top here, let's copy this down and grab our button. And let's add it in down here. So button like that. Hey, cool. All right, so it is a grid child. So I also need to add one more thing, which should, let's see, probably the easiest way is just justify self. No, let's just do this. White. Max width of fit. All right. Looks like we need a bigger rounding too, probably. And that text definitely looks too dark. So let's do Google gray, I think I had. Now that looks too dark. So let's add one more color. Or it looked too bright, not too dark. Maybe it doesn't. Just kind of jarring. Okay, that'll work. Let's see. Let's also do some spacing. Letter spacing. What is that? Leading? Leading? Nope, that's line height. I don't remember what that's called. Letter spacing. Tracking, that's right. Tracking wide. Looks a little better. Okay, yeah, it's definitely too dark. Too light. Nope. It says it's that. Weird. C4, let's look at that. Is that the right thing? No, so I got two different color blacks. Or I didn't do that right. So, background color. Actually, let's keep that just in case I need that. But for now, let's go ahead and grab that. Let's actually see, what is this border color? Is that the same thing? I don't know. It's fine. It does look a little better. Okay, cool. Do I have a hover state? I do, so let's go ahead and add that on the button. So in Tailwind, you can just do hover like that, and it gives you that selector, and we'll do like an opacity of 90 maybe. That's about what it looked like. It's hard because I can't really look at anything since they use Tailwind. I don't want to see any of it. So I'm really guessing. Normally I would look at some of the source code and see what they did. And maybe it's probably a different color, but that's good enough for me. Let's go back to 90. All right, so we just have to space this stuff out now. So if I come back over to my index, this is inside our card component. We passed in all these classes. We can now do a gap. We'll do something like gap of 2, which, I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at what we're doing versus what they did. I don't know. There's no gap here. So Does that mean we're better than Google as we've demonstrated this morning? Yeah. And it looks like my spacing is a little off too on that card. So padding a 6 maybe is a little bit better. All right, and then we probably need some kind of minimum height on this, I'm guessing. Yeah, I would, or it just has a massive gap there. See, we shouldn't have looked because now we know. All right, so it has some kind of gap there. So that means we can actually come in here and do more. Let's see, this needs to be wrapped. So Command-Shift-P, wrap with abbreviation with a grid and a gap 2. And then this can be like a gap, I don't know, 12 or something crazy. Maybe more than that, 24. So, yeah. So that's how they space that out. That should work. It looks like our card itself could use a little bit more rounding. So let's do like large, extra large. That'll work. All right, so that's theirs. That's ours. We're better than them. Let's stop right now while we're ahead. All right, so let's come over here. And now I've got this card component. Let's go ahead and just copy this down again. This is still in the same area. And this is, we'll call it networking. Will be the ID we pass in, which means let's change it here. And this was 24 pixels. So let's change that to whatever that would be here. So text. What's my extensions problem here? 24, so we need 2XL maybe. There we go. I think that was right, yeah. And this is going to say, tell us about the Google event you're attending. And this needs to be an H2. So you only want one H1 per page, and then everything else should be an H2 as like the major header sections. And I think this is just an image. So let's go ahead and change this to black. Padding. Let's see, what do I need padding wise? I don't actually want it on the card. And I also don't, I guess I do need that. Let's do like a gap of 6. And then we do need padding on this now. Everywhere. That should set that off right. Okay, good. So text, let's do white. Was that white? Yep. But it definitely looks smaller than that. So let's make it smaller. XL. All right, Google event you're attending. Got that. Let's actually change the color for, well, I guess we don't have anything else but an image. So this will be its own little section here. And let's look inside. Since it's in our public folder, we can just do a / images and then figure out whatever this is. Get ready, download. Canvas. Did I not grab that? I don't see it over there, so we might need to grab that. So let's grab it and drop it right in here. Can I do that? Is that a thing? I should be able to do it over here. All right. Oh, it's a globe. It's an SVG. No wonder. Okay, so we can use our icon component. That works for me. So let's come over here and let's use our icon component. Now, I don't think I've actually installed it or added it over here. I just added it in our navbar component. So let me grab this. So you got to import it wherever you're going to use it. So in this case, I'm using it over here, so I need to import it over here. And let's separate this stuff out a little bit. So those are styles. Those are any plugins and things we're using, and there's our icon. Okay, so now we can pass in this icon, and we'll give it a name attribute, and this points to globe something. Oh, that was what we needed. Globe SVG. So we can just call globe like this, and it will just drop it right in there. Hey, cool. We didn't even have to do anything. All right, so it's just positioned right there for us. Now, I probably want a max width on some of that. And let's go ahead and actually set a width on this too of like I don't know, 300, something like that. So it doesn't get massively large anyhow when it comes in. And I don't exactly know how that stuff expands. Looks like it stays in the center. That stuff goes left. So again, we can pass in any props to this icon component, which is cool. And so let's do that. And let's kill the terminal too. Well, not kill it, but just hide it. So we'll do justify self center. All right, so we should be good there. Let's come over here. Yeah, there we go. Everything else is on the left. Hey, we're doing things. Let's set this back to like 400-ish, and we'll do the same over here. And now we've got this next section. Now, we are definitely not going to have time to set up this, but we can at least drop in the basic idea here. So it looks like they only show the first two. And then maybe when you get bigger, they show the other ones. So let's just do what we see. We'll do the first two for now, and we'll just hard code something. So we don't have to use components. We can obviously use whatever we want. This is still in this kind of header area, this main section. Should we call this a header? I mean, not going to hurt anything. Let's do that because it kind of is our header section. This is an image, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, are we going to have, I don't remember grabbing these. I think these are part of the canvas. So let's just do the image without that stuff. And then below it, we're going to have these two sections eventually turn to 4. So let's just add a div here. And I guess what we need is a grid. Let's see, maybe we should do flex because we're going to change this on desktop. Not that we're going to do that today, but let's come inside here. We're going to have an image. And this will be our something. Images, canvas, PNG. All right, so let's do images, canvas.png, and we'll call this like Google animation something. I have no idea what that is. I don't know what this is supposed to connote either. So, and then below here, we're going to have flex as well, and this needs to have flex wrap on it. And then we're going to have 2 items in here. These we could make their own little components, I suppose, as well. Do we need to? Nah, let's just, there's no reason to overcomplicate stuff. Now this probably is some kind of like, I thought it'd be something niftier than a paragraph tag. So it's just a paragraph tag. I thought it was going to be like some kind of special time tag or something. So this paragraph will have a background color of Google Blue. And see, all of these, do they need anything else? I guess they'd need a border of 2 and a border Google Black. Something like that. And this will be 5 days. And obviously they're updating that with JavaScript. We are not. There we go. I probably also, let's see, we could do, probably the easiest thing is just to add the border directly in here. So that was we'll do a border bottom right. How do you do bottom right? Let's check. I don't remember how to do that in Tailwind. Border bottom. Let's just look at the border. What do we got? Border top, border top. Do they give you just like a section? Maybe I have to add that. I could just do border left and then change the, let's just do that. So we'll do border left of, not border, I want a radius. That's why we were struggling. Top, left, bottom, is there, here we go. So a rounded bottom left of, I think it was like a large, maybe. Which I think should be the same as that. Let's come back to our card. Rounded XL. So XL for that one. 5 days, and I think this was my 16 pixel. No, that was 20. So let's do font of large. Sorry, text large ish. 18 pixels. What's extra large? 20 pixels. Okay, cool. So we've got that set. This also is going to need to be a flex grow. So let's just set it as a flex 1. That should be just fine. We'll copy this down, and this should say 4 hours. 4 hours, and this should be yellow. But the rest of it, I think, should be the same. Cool. I guess this needs to be bottom right instead. All right, cool. Now this whole thing, this image itself, let's actually wrap this in a div with background Google gray, which is that gray color. And, oh, maybe we need something lighter than that. So let me grab my color picker again. And let's come back to our Tailwind. And we'll do a light or something like that. Paste that in there. Maybe that's the color I should use on that button text. Because that still just looks jarring for me, but I think they did use white. Let's come over here. And what am I looking at? Google black, gray. We'll do Google light. Cool. All right. Now, see this entire thing, even though it's not a card, I do need a border on it. So we'll do border Google black. Oh, we've got double borders now. So we'll have to fix that too. And then let's do rounded XL. And for right now, let's do flex wrap as well. That should pop those things down. And I think that means actually on these, this border, I can just do border top 2 and border right 2 on this first one. And then here, I can just do border top 2. Or, you know what I can do is just do border top on this whole div. What are we doing? All right, and then that way we can just separate them. I could also do it like an after element with a border too on that one, I guess, but or individual children. Let's just leave it alone. That's fine. The other thing I need to do is space these things out. So I actually do need this to say, so let's change both these to grow. So they have flex grow, and then we'll do basis of full, and then they should split if I don't have wrap on here. All right. Let's also fix this border. Are these flex children? Yes, they are. Are they growing? Yes, they are. Are they supposed to split that space? Yes, they are. So let me make sure I'm just not doing something stupid. Oh, you know what? I think I just need to set this thing at width full. Or, oh, you know, it's a flex child itself. That works. Width full is fine. Now, rounded. Why is that not fitting properly? I don't know. That works. So let's just change that. So we'll do large here. Probably just because it's an internal border. Not really sure. Let's also maybe do, probably the easiest thing would just be to do overflow hidden. And that way it doesn't cut out at all. I think that should work. You know, now that I look at this, what I should be doing is not putting a border here on the whole thing, but rather on each of these sub items. And I think that will make it easier actually for us. So let's do that. And then here we'll do a border bottom of 0. And that way that just gets picked up in the lower section. And let's make this a little more readable. Okay, cool. Border top. Actually, let's just make this border everywhere, right? And then this needs to be rounded bottom XL. And this needs to be rounded top XL. So not this, but this. Top XL. Hey, good morning. Apson, is that right? Welcome. I'd love to know where you're watching from. All right, so we got that set. Let's go ahead and now come in both of these and add padding of like 2 or something like that. And then we'll text align them center. Actually, I think that's just text center and Tailwind. Okay. All right, so we got that top kind of header section done. And now let's move to the bottom section. And again, we're not doing the whole canvas element here, but I think that should be sufficient. So this is kind of a header 2, which means these should probably be header 3s, which means I need to change my card config. So let's also add a header type in here. And by default, we'll set this to H2. No, I don't need to do that because I added it in the card. That's right. That's why I did that. Come back over here then. So this year's keynotes should be H2. It looks like it's bigger than pretty much anything but that H1. Is it the same size? 32 and 28. So it's slightly smaller. So let's copy this down here. And let's add all of this outside the header. Still inside the main tag though now. And this is going to be a card as well. Let's see. Are these cards spaced out in any particular way? They are. So we'll do a grid, gap, maybe like 8 for now. See, these look a little bit bigger though. Set this back to my 400 so that it's the same. So they've got padding. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather control it with a parent. So we'll do a gap of 8. And then this one can be an H2. And all of this will be inside of a card wrapper. So let's do card like that. And I need to pass in a couple things. So let's do that. So this ID should point to whatever this is. This year's keynotes is what this is going to say. And we'll just, whoop. I thought I copied that. Right inside here. And this actually needs to be an H2. And tell you what. Let's see, those are kind of similar. Those are right next to each other. Okay. So we might need to change up some of this. This is not going to have a border, so we can just remove this altogether since it will be false by default. And this year's keynotes, let's call this keynotes, which should be the ID that we pass into our card component. So our card component over here is pulling in this ID and adding it to the section. And that's what we're going to do over here too. And this whole thing is going to be a card. And then we'll have cards inside of it. So we'll have sections inside of sections. If I come back over this way, whoa, something happened. We don't need that. Okay. And then technically this was supposed to be smaller than that, but I don't know. I feel like that looks about right. And again, since we're kind of eyeballing this whole thing, I think that should work for us. I do want this to be an actual, whatever that thing is called, styled thing rather than a code. All right, and then here, these are going to be cards too. And they've got some interesting things going on. So maybe we should make these like calendar cards rather than trying to reuse our card component. So let's do that. So I'm going to resave this if it'll let me. So we'll just call this card 2 for now. Actually, let's call it calendar card.astro. And then this is going to take in, see, since they're both the same, are there any more down here? No. So let's do that. So let's just actually scaffold out this entire thing. We'll pass everything in through props. So what do we have? See, these are, I don't know that this has to be a section from Denver. Nice. Not too far away. I was just in Denver last month. So these should probably be, we can just make them divs. I don't know that they're not really anything special. What did they make them? Divs. Good enough for Google, good enough for us. So we're going to have a header. Or how about this? We'll have an image. Let's just kind of go down the card. An image, a time, a heading, a title, and that's it. I guess these would technically need to link to something, but you know, we don't have anything they're linking to. Bookmark this. I'm not sure what, I guess you could bookmark it in Google or something. I don't know how that works. And then let's make these divs. And what we're going to do is inside this div, we'll have an image, and this will point to our src of whatever our image is. So that's the image we're going to pass in. And then this alt can be our title, because it should be similar, or we could pass in an image alt if we prefer, but I think that should work for me. Then we're going to have our time. So this should probably be a small tag. So let's do small, and then, well, I guess we could just style it that way. So we'll do text, maybe extra small, uppercase. These are all Tailwind classes. And then it looks like maybe there's some spacing on the lettering, but we'll see when we pass it in. Okay, so we've got that, and inside here, again in brackets, since we're templating out, we're going to pass in our time, and then below here is where we're going to have our H3s, since this is inside that bigger section within H2 already. And this should have our title inside here, and let's do font bold and text maybe large, and we'll have to change some of this. Then this is going to be a flex section down here with children here. So we'll say flex and justify between and items center. Is that all we need? Totally. All right, so inside here we're going to have two things. We're going to have, first of all, a paragraph. And this will have, let's see, heading. These are both, say, keynotes, so we can just type keynote. So we'll say keynote. I'm guessing this would be like for different types. So we could pass in a type prop as well if we wanted to. So there's our keynote, and then we've got two items inside here, and we are going to need that icon thing that we pulled in, that plugin. So we'll pass in two things in here, and these are going to be, let's do flex, gap, maybe one, that look real similar, items center, and then we'll pass in two of these icon components, and let's just grab them both together. We'll do name. I'm guessing I have it like calendar, and then maybe this is bookmark. Let's see. And then a width of, let's do width of 24, and then we'll do class here of like width 4, maybe 6, height 6. And let's see, this top one also needs text dark, nope, Google black, and this one needs text Google gray, according to the stuff we set up. Okay, so there's a chance we did some of that correct. Heading. Was that what this was supposed to be? Well, we don't need that anymore. So calendar card, let's go ahead and pull that in. So I'll just copy that down, change this to calendar card. And we should be able to then pull that in. So this is our section. So let's do calendar card like that. And we're not adding a slot, so we don't have to have a closing tag. And so for both of these, we're going to need, see, and if you do like their actual TypeScript kind of thing, you can actually get this in your code editor when you're typing this out, but I'll just pull it up next to it. So they're both going to need an image, and that's going to point to our images, and then something. And then let's come down here. They're both going to need a time, and this can just be a string. So we'll say day 1, 10 a.m. PDT. We'll change that obviously as we get going here. And then let's see, what else do we have? Title. So this will be Google I/O Keynote. Keynote like that. All right, looks like this is called Developer Keynote. And, oh, I clicked on it. I don't want that. Here we go. That's what day 1. Time is following Keynote. I like that flexibility. Following Google Keynote. Developer Keynote. Okay, I think all the rest of that is good. Now what we need to do is just pull in actual images. So where's that? Up here? Download. Oh, so that was download and then image 1. I mean, okay. Maybe we should change this to like Keynote, and we could change this to developer. Keynote and developer. Okay. They're both WebPs, which, you know, I should probably, I just grabbed them from their site. So, you know, ideally you want this to be something that would work across everything, but I'm not posting this anywhere, mostly because I don't think Google would want me to. So, it's not a big deal. We can run it locally here just fine. So we'll say, what was this? Developer.webp. And then up here, this was Keynote. All right, moment of truth. How poorly did we mess this up? Or did we do okay? Hey, I mean, it could be worse. That's not too bad. We do need this cool hover state. So let's work on some of that. So card, calendar card. So this needs to be grid, and then we'll do a gap of like 2 maybe for everything. But these are actually positioned correctly and everything. This needs to be, let's just set a height on it so that the same height. That should take an auto, right? Let's do width of like 4. And then maybe gap 2, a little bit bigger. This whole thing needs padding of maybe 8. And then we'll do hover border 2. Which means I probably need a border 2 on this all the time, and just set my border to transparent. Transparent. And then on the hover state here, I'll change my border to Google dark or black, I think it was. And then is there a transition for border? No, but there's for color. So let's see if that, yeah, that pulls on nicely. All right, we'll do a rounded XL, just like everything else. That gap looks a little big to me. Again, we're kind of guesstimating a lot of this. Okay, cool. This whole thing is a cursor pointer, so the whole thing is actually a link. So I guess we'll do it like that. Is this ours? No. And then we'll do href, and this will point to nothing. Since these are clickable, there's probably a better way to do that, but I think for now we'll call that good. So these images are rounded too. So let's come in here and say class rounded XL. I don't like that that doesn't look good with the border. I think that works better. Okay, and then looks like maybe I need a little bit more spacing. Let's see. Right here. Yeah, that'll work. Now this right here. So this needs to be bigger. Where's my H3? So we'll do text extra large. And maybe let's not do font bold. Let's see what that looks like. It's a little closer. 2XL. That's probably too big. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do on this right here. Leading. What is that thing called? Nope. Let's see if we can figure it out. I don't remember. Line. Let's see. Letter spacing. I can't remember what tracking. That's right. I think these are designer terms, and I'm not a designer. I mean, I'm not really a web developer either, but, you know, nobody has to know these things. Tracking. Let's do wide. Yeah, I think that looks okay. See, that keynote is pretty thin, so let's change that. So we'll do font thin. That looks a little better. What's normal? That's what we were at, so I think thin probably for this typeface. Okay, so we got those mostly done, and you can see how by just templating this out and then passing in these things right here, which if we change out any of these, so like if I change this to developer, it just handles all that, which is pretty cool. Okay, so we got those set up. Day one, Google file. Oh, I switched these around. So let's grab this and this and switch them around. Okay. Day one, day one. Okay, so that looks pretty similar. All right, next section. So if we got a link, we got to do, these are all just cards, but the same kind of hover state. So maybe we actually make another card here. So let's see, this is all get ready for I/O. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm guessing it stops right here. All right, let's do it. So let's put this all inside of a section. Just a normal section tag. So we're kind of mixing up just writing plain HTML and grabbing these components. You know, if this was a production site, then I would probably do more careful thought as far as like what should be a component exactly, because I typically like to keep my actual index page or whatever the page is pretty light and pretty much just use components. But I think that's kind of stylistic preference. So aria labeled by, and we're going to point this to ready. And then here we'll have an H2. Let's do H2 with the ID of ready. And what I should have done is grab that from up above, because I'm going to have to go grab the classes here in a second. Oh, I guess there's just one. So assuming that's the same, we're going to call it the same. Get ready for I/O. Should be good to go. And then we'll have a section just below here. Let's see. How far away are these? Those are right next to each other. Is that what I did? No. I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone if you're not, but we should probably go ahead and wrap this in a div. Oops. Wrap in a div so that they're next to each other. All right. That's not too hard. So get ready for I/O is this next section. And we're going to do, should we do kind of the same thing? Where was that? Gap of 8. Yeah, let's do the same thing. So we'll do the same thing here, gap of 8. And since I ended up changing around how these worked, I guess I put this all in a card. No. This is what I'm looking at right here, right? I guess I did put all those in a card. Oh well, that works. It's a section either way. That's basically all it is. So let's wrap this section here then in its own little grouping. Well, I guess that's about the same. So maybe let's not. Let's wrap this next section in a group. So I guess let's just do div. And we'll do a paragraph here. And then we'll have this as a link. So this will point to nothing and say watch the trailer. But I do need some classes on this. So we'll say class, text, Google Blue. And then we'll do on the hover state, we'll do a underline. There we go. And this font definitely looks, or typeface definitely looks bigger. So we'll do text, maybe large, something like that. And yeah, because it's a different font, it's not going to look the exact same, but I'm emotionally okay with that if you are. Let's come back to my layout. Let's set up some default. That's what I should have done to start with. So inside here, say I want my text to be Google. You're attending it. Nice, Daily Meow. Cool. Text Google black. And then let's do a leading here of normal. Maybe that's already naturally applied. I don't remember. No, it didn't look like it was. Cool. And then do we need anything else? I don't think so. All right. I am noticing that like some of their spacing here is kind of weird. I'm guessing that's not intentional because, well, this is really tight up top here. And then this is tight once you do that. I don't know. I prefer more spacing. I'm getting claustrophobic just looking at that. And I mean, nobody from Google asked our opinion anyhow. So, but let's come over here back to our index and let's work on this next little section. So I think I do want a little grid gap on here, maybe like 2, something like that. Space that out. All right. So now it's just a matter of, still doesn't quite look big enough. Let's do extra large. But now it's a matter of just adding those sections down below. That looks a little better, maybe. All right, next sections. So these are our own little cards, and they're going to be different for each one. So maybe what we do is just use our card component up top. We can make another component. So these are all going to be the same. And then this one will be its own thing. So like this is where like taking a little bit of time, and this has a video up top. So, and a link. These are all links as well. That's also a link to a playlist. Let's do another card. So let's come over here and we'll call this link card. And again, what I would probably start doing is once I realize I'm doing all this, have everything in one Astro component here called card for a simple landing page like this, and then basically pass in a type and have different types that spit back out, whether it's a link or a section or whatever. Maybe I would do that. I'm not totally sure. Link card. That's what we want. So let's just make this whole thing a link. All this should be fine, I think. And then we will just have a slot component. And pass everything in there. Do I need anything at all? I mean, I guess I would need a link, but I'm going to default it to just the pound sign. And then let's get rid of that. So we'll set this to our link. So basically right now it's just, you know, breaking away these tags so I don't clutter up my HTML or, you know, my index file. So come back over here. We got another section down this way. And we're going to pull in our link card. Let's see, if I hit tab, does it automatically pull it in up top? Nope. Oh, yeah, it did. Hey. That's new to the Astro extension in VS Code, which there is one. I don't think I mentioned that before, but yeah. All right, so for each of these here, we're going to have actually closing tag as well. So link card. Yeah, and I don't love how I've set this whole thing up, but import. No corresponding closing tag. It definitely does, just below. Let's try again. Link tag, link card, and then link card. Maybe I didn't do that right. Okay, so all this stuff is in a link, and it already has the padding, so I just need to add this image. And let's see, don't I have an image up top here somewhere? Oh, those are my Keynote calendar cards. So let me grab this. I thought I had more classes on it than that, but nope, just that. All right, and we'll call this like waving person. And then here, we'll grab our images, and let's look inside our images. Get ready too. We'll do wave and YouTube video, because I think that's that YouTube one. All right, so here we're going to say wave.webp, I think is what it was. Hey, there it is. So right below that, I got two sections here. So let's space this out a little differently. So I'll have a grid with a gap of 2. I'm pretty sure the gap in the actual link card is different. Gap 4, yeah, so it's slightly smaller. So we'll have video playlist, building for large screens. Video, so maybe I'll make this see, this is inside of an H2 section. So this needs to be an H3, one of these does. So since it is a video playlist and that's kind of the main thing, let's do that. So let's do H3 with text extra small, and then, or maybe just small, and then uppercase, and then maybe that's it for now. We'll say video playlist, and then just below it here, we will have just a paragraph tag. This will say building for large screens. And let's get rid of all this and see what that looks like. Yeah, not bad. So let's make that extra small, and maybe let's boost this text a bit. Class text large, something like that. Let's do a gap of 1 here. The link card itself looks a little too spaced out, so let's make this like a padding 4. And let's look at our calendar card and do the same thing, padding 4. All right, cool. Trailer. Okay, next little sections. Introduction to cloud anchors. So these are all the same, but we had already determined just to put them all inside these link cards, so we can just copy them down. And I'm pretty sure these are SVGs. Yep. We've got our icon component. That's good. So let's come in here and grab that. So we'll say icon, name, whatever it is, and close that out. Let's look at our icons. Public, components, icons right here. Badge, oh boy. Let's come back over here. What are we looking at? That thing. Did I even grab those? I don't know that I grabbed those. So, or if I did, I'm not seeing it. So let's copy this out. And I'll call this guide. And let's just grab, since we're already right here, let's just grab them all from here. Are they all the same? I should have looked at that. No, they're not. Okay. So guide, and then, oops. Let's copy this SVG out right here. And we'll call this like blocks or something. Got that, and then whatever that is. SVG, copy element. Let's see, we'll just call this guide 2 or something. Guide 2, paste that in, okay. So assume we did that correctly. Are there more? It looks like the one up top. I think that's it. Okay. So we'll call this guide. And then I think we should be good there. Let's come over here. Hey, there it is. So let's set a width on this of like, I don't know, 50, something like that. And then let's see what it actually is. 91. Nope. So the whole SVG is 91. So I guess let's set it at like 90. All right. Now we got some classes coming in on here. So let's go width of 48. That's a little too big. 32. 28. Just to kind of experiment, because I don't want to look up all this. Let's see, 96. That's a little big. So let's call this 20 and call it a day. Okay, so we've got a couple things over here. Code Lab, Introduction to Cloud Anchor. So these should be H3s. But these classes over here, let's see. Let's make this text like 2XL. I think it's going to need to be pretty big. And we'll bring this up top. Maybe let's do this. Let's copy this up. And these look about spaced out by one, grade 1 or so, something, gap 1, something like that. And same thing down here below. Actually, I don't think this even needs to be, because those look about evenly spaced. So let's call that good. And then this needs to say, or these classes, I think I've got that on my clipboard. This needs to say guide. And this is going to say introduction to cloud anchors. And then this is a paragraph. Let's see, can I copy this without clicking on the link? No, but I can down here, maybe. That's kind of messy, but there we go. Let's just double check that things came over okay. Yeah. Maybe let's set this to gap of 2. Space that out a bit from the bottom. We set this at 3XL, and then let's see, the link card itself. I probably do need to take in some classes here. So let's have, or we could just do a color. How about that? I'll just say blue. Then what I can do is come over to my link card, and we'll take in a color as well. And now here's kind of the tricky thing with Tailwind, because it needs to see the entire class written out. There's two things we can do, because we could do like, you know, put this all in backticks and then interpolate here and say like BG dash and then pass in our color right here. The problem is that Tailwind's not actually seeing anything and compiling it. So if we have that background color elsewhere on the site, that'll work, but it won't work here. So you can add it as in the Tailwind config. You could just add it as, you know, an item up here. Or what we could do is just pass in the entire color. So maybe let's do that. So we'll just say color here. And maybe what I should do is say, well, no, let's just leave it. So we'll pass in the color there. And by default, it'll be nothing. And then what I can do over here is for that color, I'll pass in the entire Tailwind class. So background Google Blue. All right, and there we go. Now, this I thought needed to look the same as up above. It does. All right. So, how are we going to do that? Because I guess we could just not pass the color in here and erase everything we just did. Let's do that. I should have looked more carefully first. Get out of here. Over this way. So what I'm not going to do is pass that in. Instead, I'm going to add that right here to this. Nope, not to this. We're going to have a div inside of here just for this styling. So we'll do that. Never mind. I'm changing my mind. We're going back. We're doing it again. Can I put it back? Yes, I can. All right, except I don't want it here. What I want is to have a div here. Let's see, div. And inside here, we'll have a class of my color. And then what I also would need is, I guess, this padding in here as well. So we do need to add this backticks. Padding 4, and then we'll do a rounded large since it's the middle one. Let's see if that worked. No, it did not. Let's see, passing in the color. Should be surrounding this slot. Oh, space. Hey, it did work. Nice. This is a gap of 4. It doesn't. That's just spacing out everything inside of it now. Oh, so I need to bring this in too. So let's do that. Cool. All right. Now, ideally, we should be able to build these out fairly quickly because now we know these are link cards. Let's do it all, and then we'll check it and see how we did. So let's copy this down once. And we'll change this to, say, Code Lab. Not lap. And then write your first Flutter app, part 1. And then we'll copy this in here. Oops. Opening stuff up on my other screen. Daily Meow, if you're still here, I'd love to know what are the ones you want to attend when you're going. I haven't even looked at what they offer because, you know, I'm not going. So, but I'd be interested to know what you're interested in. Okay, and then we're going to pass in red here. And then this icon will be our blocks, I think is what we called those. And then let's copy this down because that all looks correct. Do the same thing, change this to yellow. And part 2, looks like is the only difference there. And then let's copy this text as well. Add that in here. Looks like Daily Meow has left the building. All right, I think that should be good. Let's copy this down one more time. And what did we call that? Was it like blocks 2 or something weird? Guide 2? Sure. So guide 2. Yellow, this should now be blue. And let's copy this in. And then we'll probably have to stop after this point, but hopefully this, aside from if you were here at the beginning, all the time it took us to set stuff up, hopefully this has been a nice way to kind of see how Astro works. I'm obviously not like talking through every single thing, but understanding some of the templating, hopefully that's a help. All right, one more. And this is our green. And we're going to call this documentation. And guide, normal, I think. Come over here, copy this out. If you are watching, do you want to see a part 2 where I actually finish this site? I don't know that I want to do it, but if lots of people do, I'm happy to consider that. So let me know. All right, so let's see how that worked. Actually, we got one more that should be very similar to this one. So let's just copy that top one down. Video playlist. Oh, here we are. Let's copy this down below here. We'll do the same thing, except change this out for, what was that? YouTube, I think I called it. Waving person, smiling person. This is just called the video. And then let's see if I can copy this. Okay, moment of truth. Okay, so these are all spaced a little bit too much, but they are working. It's working. Hey, cool. All right, so what we need to do is just change the basic spacing here. So, or rather, maybe wrap all of these. Yeah, I think if we wrap all these in just a div, because they don't need to be spaced at all. And let's do this. Let's say if the color exists, then put the color in here to start with. But these have a padding on the inside. I forgot we used these all for the same. So this also needs to have a margin. All right, let me see. How should we do this? Because I still need this to have... I guess I don't anymore. So maybe, can we make this whole thing optional? So you can do templating like this, where you say, like, basically, if the color exists, so it's a ternary here. So if the color exists, we'll just put all this in here. I think this should work. So if I passed a color in, and we'll set this to null by default, and then we'll say otherwise, I think this will work. I can just do a slot like this. And in spite of all the yelling, let's see, I don't need this check here anymore. Maybe. I mean, I've never seen so many errors in my life, and it still might be working. So let's actually check. No, that's not working. Well, we tried. So let me pull this back out, and let's think through this, how we can get these both to behave the same. Maybe what we can do is just, if we add a margin. So let's do this. We'll do 2 checks here. Or let's do this. If the color exists, then go ahead and add the color, and also add margin 4. That's not going to work. All right, I think I'm overcomplicating this. This should not be this difficult. And now it hates me. All right, so let's come back down here. Now this whole hover state is weird too. Why is this hover state being so weird? Oh, you know what? It's because this needs to be a block. Which it was a grid before, so we weren't having trouble. Okay. So maybe that actually would have worked. Well, I'll leave you to that one. So I think if that were a block, this other thing would have worked. Maybe what we can do is let's do the same thing here. We'll include, let's add the color, and let's also add the padding 4. Maybe I can't do it like that. I thought I could do it like that. Clearly I can't. Well, I'm not going to look it up in Astro for now. So we'll just drop the color in there. And maybe let's do this. Up top, what we can do is say const color classes or something like that. And then here we can add in backticks the color and padding 4. And then we can add, if the color exists, then we'll add our color classes. What? I'm almost positive we can do that. Let's set this as a class list instead for one final try. And inside here, we will have an array that will include that. And can I do this little check in here? Probably not. But let's see. Something is happening? No, can't do that. I know there's a way to do this. Oh, this is color. All right, one more try. And then we will abandon all hope if this doesn't work. Hey, okay, that's all I was trying to do, is add padding if it had the color. All right, so I know there's an easier way to do that, but not sure what it was. Part 2, you need to watch the setup part. I mean, you don't really need to. If you were here, it was basically painful because I couldn't, it just wasn't working. And then even when I started using the CLI to get the whole thing up and running, it didn't work properly because I had to reinstall all the NPM packages. All right, so we've got a basic, ish top of the landing page. You know, because I don't have the same font, it doesn't look exactly the same. But there's enough that's similar, I think. We didn't do any dark mode, obviously. We did improve this section up here. See that spacing? See this spacing? So we did that. I do have a little more space on the side just because I feel like it needs a little more room to breathe than they give you here. But it's our thing. We can do what we want. Obviously, it's only mobile. It's not responsive really quite yet. And then we didn't do the whole bottom section, which I don't know that there's that much left. So we got this little thing. That would be cool to do. I mean, this is not going to take that long, right? It's just the image and those things. Let's see, what kind of time do I have? Let's do it. Don't tell anyone. We're going to go real fast. Are these all links? No, they're not. But when you click on them, oh yeah, they are. Okay. So we should be able to use the same link card. So this is below this section. we're going to have a div here that's just going to have a placeholder for the marquee banner. I don't know that I'll get back to this, like I said, but yeah. We'll copy all this then, this section right here. And let's see, copy this down below. And let's change up a couple things. Let's get rid of a bunch of these link cards in the middle. Right here. Maybe another one. Section 2, let's see. This ready and this ready need to be changed to, let's call it pathways. And this will say before you know, or know before you go. Know before you go. And then, let's see, let's get rid of this. Let's see, I guess I'm going to need this text XL. I could add this in here, but I don't need that, and I don't need this. And this is going to say see all pathways. So see all pathways, and then we've got some stuff. So these are badges, and I'm pretty sure, let's grab my icon. So all these should be the same. So we're going to have icon, name, badge. We'll just call it badge 1 because I don't really know what they are. See, those are about the same. Yeah, they are. So let's grab one of these. So let's grab all this. Come back down this way. Let's add that all right here. And then, see, so this is text small uppercase. So yeah, this should say learning pathway. And then this should say Jetpack compose. And this will be badge 1 maybe. Let's see what that looks like. It's yelling at me, so maybe I don't have a badge 1. I thought I had badges dash 1. How about that? Hey, it's something. And everything is working. See, this is the brilliance of templating, is you can go pretty quick. It's not badge 1 though. We'll figure that out later. Let's figure it out now. I want to know the badges. Badge 3. Maybe 4. It's gonna be the last one we try, isn't it? Always is. All right, link card. Let's badge. I don't remember what that was now. I think it may have been badge 1. We'll call this still learning pathway, except this is protect your app from abuse. And let's add that in right here. All right. Did we get it right? Nope. Was it really the third? What was the second? I don't remember what it was now. Oh, it looks like these are kind of like opaque too a little bit. Maybe that's why I didn't recognize it. Okay, so these are a little opaque. That's good to know. We'll change those all in a second. But while we're at it, let's go ahead and copy this down 2 more times. And it's got to be badge 1. What do I have here? Badge 2, badge 4, badge 1, and let's call this one badge 3. So we got shirt and then flutter. We mixed it up. 3 and 1. All right. Well, good thing this isn't a memory game. Learning pathway. Let's check this right here. Paste that in. These are all called learning pathways, so we're good there. Okay. We did a thing. Now I think all these are a little bit smaller than the text up above. So that's one thing here. Let's grab all these 2, 3, 4. Let's change these to 2XL. And then let's add some extra classes. 1, 2, 3. And we'll set this to like opacity of 80 maybe. So that's a little bit lighter. These are also spaced out, so I should probably account for that as well. Quite a bit, actually. It's kind of odd. And then I think let's also make these a little bit bigger. The icons themselves, 28. Yeah, they look a little bigger. And then let's add all of these link cards. This section, here we go. Actually, let's just do this. Let's just get rid of this div here. And then I think they should all be spaced out correctly because I've got a gap of 8 on the parent. So that's a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. And then below, we'd obviously have a footer. I'd probably put that in my layout. So down here, yeah, I guess I'd put it right here. And then this would have a background of like, I don't know, Google. I think it's black. And then we give it like a height of 96 for now, just so we can see it. So there it is at the bottom. So more or less, there it is. Looks like we have another space there we didn't account for, and that this needs to be darker black, probably that original dark black we had. But hopefully that helps kind of seeing how to lay out a page like this. And more or less, I think I was just trying to show off the templating in Astro. And this is really where something like Tailwind shines, because you're not having to switch between style sheets and all this kind of stuff. You're basically just templating out live with all of this just kind of showing for you. All right, well, I hope that was a help. I don't know if I'll do a part 2. If I do, it will probably be in 2 weeks. But for those of you who are able to watch, I hope that was enjoyable for you. And I will catch you sometime next